everyone, it's Shannon here for Hero Arts. In today's video, we're going to be using the awesome dies from the November My Monthly Hero Kit. We're going to watercolor some of these die cuts and create these gorgeous frosty tags. We're going to start with some watercolor paper. I just have an A2 panel here. This is more than enough. And I'm going to grab some of the dies from the kit. I'm going to focus on foliage dies. I'm going to grab this large greenery kind of garland die, as well as some of the flowers and even a pine cone. Once I get them arranged here on my watercolor cardstock or my watercolor paper, I'm going to go ahead and die cut them out, and then I'll pop them out. I am going to die cut some of these again. I'm going to die cut the large poinsettia, the pine cone, and that really small like greenery sprig again, actually 3 times in total. Now we're ready to watercolor. I'm going to press one of the reactive inks. This is blue raspberry, and then a second one which is purple galaxy, right down onto this is just a laminated piece of paper, and use it as my palette. And then I'm going to kind of mix these inks together with just a tiny bit of water. Really just dip my brush into my water, and just whatever my brush absorbs, that's all the water I'm going to use. And then I'm going to quickly start to paint these leaves. So all these leaves are going to get this kind of blue purple treatment. And I do mix the blue raspberry with a tiny bit of the purple, which makes it a little bit blue in some areas. That's just to add some interest, some variation, so it's not all just one flat color, not just the flat blue raspberry. Now I'm going to repeat this process for these small sprigs. Now that I've done 2 of them, the last one I'm actually going to flip over. So this is right side. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm actually going to paint the back side of this die cut. So that I have one of these sprigs kind of curving this way, which will kind of nicely fill the space of my tag. Now I'm going to grab some of the purple and mix a little bit of the blue raspberry, but this is going to be primarily that purple galaxy, and just paint a line. The blue raspberry is completely dry now on the leaves, so that first layer is dry. And now just painting with this purple galaxy a little line for the underside of the leaf, just to add a little more the look of some shape or some definition to those leaves. Now I'm going to repeat this process even for the little sprigs here, just add a little bit of that galaxy purple there, or purple galaxy on the underside of the leaf. And once I finish coloring all these leaves or painting that purple down, I am actually done with my leaves, so I'm ready to move on to my flowers. I have a bunch of colors picked out for these flowers. I'm first going to press down Key Lime Fizz, then a little bit of Lemon Drop. I'm going to use these 2 colors for the center of the flowers. And then for the flower petals, I'm going to use some Berry Smoothie and a whole bunch of this Fruit Punch. So I'm going to press out a lot of this ink down onto my palette. Now I'm ready to start painting. I'm going to grab my brush here, get a little tiny bit wet, and then activate that Fruit Punch and start to quickly just kind of lay a base layer of this Fruit Punch on all the petals. I'm going to avoid coloring the center because I want to color that a lighter ink. I want to color that in yellow. Once I finish with all these petals, I'll then clean my brush and then color the center with that Lemon Drop. So just quickly color that yellow in the center. Now I'm going to move on to that Berry Smoothie with a little bit of that Fruit Punch. So basically creating a dark red, and I'm going to color the petals that are slightly that are kind of the lower level. They're overlapped a little bit with the top layer of petals, and it works out to be every other petal. So I'm going to quickly color that with some of that Berry Smoothie with a tiny bit of Fruit Punch mixed into it, so it's a darker red. And then I'm going to clean my brush and then grab some of that Key Lime Fizz and then color around the little balls that make up the center of the poinsettia, just to kind of give those that center a little bit of definition. And then I'm going to go back to my Berry Smoothie and just add some lines, some details to the top row or top layer of petals, the ones that didn't get colored before with the Berry Smoothie. Now we're going to move on to this tiny flower. Basically color it the same. Start by coloring the whole flower with Fruit Punch. Then I'm going to go color the center with a little bit of the Lemon Drop, and then onto Berry Smoothie to add some details to the petals, just kind of some lines, just to add a little bit of definition, and then finish with a little bit of that Key Lime Fizz around that center. And that will finish all my flowers. Now we're going to move on to the pine cones, and I have 3 colors picked out for this. Some more Fruit Punch, then some more Purple Galaxy, and then a new color here, some Root Beer. And I'm just going to press that out onto my palette. And I'm going to kind of mix this root beer first with some of that fruit punch. And I just felt like the root beer was a little bit too dark and not quite as warm as I'd like it to be. So I'm mixing it with that red, and that really does help to kind of warm it up a little bit. And I just quickly paint the whole pine cone with that mixed up fruit punch and root beer ink combo as a base layer for those pine cones. Once I get that done, then I will grab that root beer and add a little bit of the galaxy purple to, or purple galaxy to it. That kind of darkens it up. And I do even add a little bit more of the fruit punch to also make it a little warmer. And that darker shade now I will add as a shadow, and I'm just coloring underneath each one of the pine cone sections. This will give that detailed look and really start to make this look realistic. And it's very easy to do. And because I'm not using a lot of water, that first layer dried really quickly, so I'm not really having any bleeding. The definition in my line or my strokes is staying nice and crisp. And that will actually complete my pine cones. Now I'm going to move on to the tags themselves. I'm going to die cut the tag out of this beautiful eggplant cardstock. Here's the tag here. Now I'm going to go ahead and ink blend a little bit on this tag. I have Nautical. This is one of the core Hero Art inks. And I'm just going to ink blend the lower left side with this beautiful dark blue, which basically looks black on this eggplant. Then I'm going to grab some unicorn pigment ink, press it out onto a piece of acetate. I'm just using my acetate grid here. Spritz it with some water, and then mix that water and that ink together. And then I'll load up my brush with that watered down unicorn ink and just splatter some of that white ink down onto the tag to make it look like snow. You can see I'm kind of holding my fingers over the upper portion just to kind of keep that a little bit clear of some of those splatters, because I want to stamp my tune from there. Now I'm going to start to arrange my die cuts, and once I get these all arranged, then I will grab some press and seal, and you can see I'm arranging them in kind of the lower left corner or lower left portion of the circle. Grab a piece of press and seal, pick all my flowers and sprigs up here, flip them over, and then I'm going to add some foam adhesive. And the foam adhesive is obviously going to provide some lift and give some dimension, but it's also going to hold all these die cuts kind of together and make them like one arrangement and easier to work with. Once I finish adding the foam adhesive, I'll then remove the backing, and then I will stick it down again towards that lower left area of the circle. Press that down. I really like that arrangement over there. I think it's really pretty. I'll then peel away the press and seal, do a little bit of rearranging or a little touching up here and there. Some of my die cuts couldn't actually be stuck down with foam adhesive because they were just a little bit too layered. So I am just using a little bit of liquid glue here and kind of tucking them back in place. Once I get them all stuck down, all we have left to do is the sentiment and a little bit more snow. We're really upping the frosty look of these. I'm going back to my watered down unicorn pigment ink and just splattering a little bit of snow, a little bit of that white ink on the die cuts. I am again covering that upper right corner because I want to be able to stamp my sentiment there. I don't want too much snow because that makes it difficult to read. Now it's time to stamp the sentiment. I'm going to grab the to and from this cute little stamp set that comes with the kit, line it up, and then pick it up with my Misty. I'm going to do some heat embossing, so I am going to have to apply some anti-static powder first just to make sure that the embossing powder only sticks where my sentiment is. I'm going to stamp it here, and then I will pull it out of my Misty and dip it into some gold embossing powder. Tap off the excess, of course. I did have to do a little cleanup with my brush, so a little bit of stray embossing powder sticking here and there. And then I will heat set here with my heat tool. After I heat set this sentiment, we have one last finishing touch. I'm going to grab some white hero paste, pick it up with my spatula here, and just add a little bit here and there, just a little bit, to make the look of snow. And this is just adding more dimension. Luckily, this is a tag, so it's not necessarily going to have to be mailed, so we can really go crazy with the dimension, which I love to do. I think tags are just so fun to really get to add tons of details. I just think it makes the gift even more special. So after I finish putting some of that hero paste on my flowers and some of my pine cones and leaves, I then am pouring over some Icicle glitter, then pressing it a little bit in place so it kind of sticks to that hero paste, and then tapping off the excess. And now we've made glittery snow accents on our foliage and flowers. Isn't that awesome? So here are the tags all done. I'll hold up the first one here that we did together. I just added some gold ribbon so I can now add it to my present. I love how it turned out. Here's the second one I made. Same process, I just did a little different arrangement, kind of made more of a wreath. And again, stamped the to and from, added the gold ribbon and the white paste and glitter. Really love how these turned out. I think they have lots of sparkle and depth and tons of details. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and tags. If you have any question about the products I use, please check out the links below in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.